In the headlines, the enactment of the Criminal Justice Pre-Negotiations and Agreement Act proving beneficial. Milk to return to supermarket shelves by month end. A blown-out tire temporarily halted operations at the Grantley Adams International Airport. And in sports, the countdown begins as the Sandy Lane Barbados Gold Cup arrives in the island.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Evening to you and welcome. I'm Tisha Hines with the details to the news. Barbados is reaping the benefits of the Criminal Justice Pre-Negotiations and Agreement Act enacted months ago. Attorney General Dale Marshall says the plea bargaining legislation has been used in a major criminal case. He made the announcement while delivering remarks at the opening of the PACE Justice Attorneys General Roundtable.
I am so proud to be able to thank my friend Llewellyn, the DPP of Jamaica, for coming to Barbados in October of last year, just after we enacted our own plea negotiations bill. And she brought with her a colleague, and they went through a number of scenarios. Can I tell you, ma'am, that we have already used that plea bargaining legislation in an important criminal case. And if we did not have the legal capacity to do that, we would have had a challenge.
While the legal framework and application of judge-alone trials will be discussed at the roundtable, Mr. Marshall says the Barbados Bar Association is yet to buy in to this type of trial.
So while we've had that legislation now for a year and a half, we haven't had any judge-alone trials. But the point is that we have a roadmap to follow. And I'm confident that if we're not all going to need to capture all 39 of the points, but it is certainly going to see a better functioning criminal justice system. I don't have to remind any of us that if our criminal justice system is not seen as being effective and efficient, it will erode the confidence of the public. And if you erode the confidence of the public, then we have an even bigger problem.
Now some good news for milk users tonight, as Pine Hill Dairy announces some milk products will be back on retail shelves in steady supply by the end of this month. This as the island's leading milk supplier promises that it remains committed in its dedication to provide a steady stream of quality products. Anesta Henry has all the details.
Pine Hill Dairy is promising Barbadians a steadier flow of milk products in the coming weeks. People, Legal and Corporate Affairs Manager at Banks Holdings Limited, Lisa Ridley-Paul, shared this development while indicating that despite facing several challenges, the company is doing all it can to regularize milk supply. She says to further compound the raw material challenges, the company experienced issues with some of its equipment in January. And even though the repairs were applied quickly, milk processed during that time had to be placed in an extended hold for additional quality checks.
We are going to be starting to see more a steadier supply go out by the end of this month for 2% and whole. But I think the steady supply for both will be in March. The large amounts, we will not have empty shelves by March for sure. But we are, right now, our issue is the extended hold for some of our products.
Mrs. Ridley-Paul says while procurement issues impacted the production of some other dairy products, including the Sungold evaporated and vanilla milk, the company is also working with great care and perseverance to correct this.
This issue originated with a lack of product from the global supply chain in 2024. And we're pleased to advise that is behind us now. We have secured our needs through 3 separate suppliers, and so our 2025 availability has been assured. The first shipment of raw material has arrived and is already in production for evaporated milk. And another large order is en route to arrive in Barbados by month end. So the company aims to regain a sense of normalcy for evaporated in the month. evaporated milk in the market by March.
On the local side, the partnership efforts between the country's 14 dairy farmers and the government have begun to take legs. She says Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Association, James Paul, has assured the dairy that the heifers fared well through the mandatory 30-day quarantine and have already been sent to the respective farms.
And this growth in the national herd will further improve raw milk supply and, of course, whole and chew milk.
Ms. Reddy Paul thanks consumers for their unwavering commitment to Pine Hill at a time when it went through a series of challenges. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
That's good news. Thanks, Anesta. Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley is on a state visit to Ethiopia. She was received by Ethiopian officials at the Bole International Airport and later met with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. She is accompanied by Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Kerry Simmons, along with the island's ambassadors to Kenya and Ghana, Alex MacDonald and Juliet Bino-Sutherland. Ms. Motley, while in Ethiopia, will attend the 38th African Union Summit. The summit, which is themed Justice for Africans and People of African Descent Through Reparations, brings together heads of state and government from all 55 AU member states, alongside leaders from international organizations, non-governmental organizations, and the private sector. It will focus on advancing reparatory justice and fostering racial healing across the continent. The 38th ordinary session of the Assembly of the AU Heads of State ends on Sunday. Police are conducting investigations into the suspected drowning of a 57-year-old male visitor to the island. In a release, they say the man, who has not been named, was a passenger on the Norwegian Viva cruise ship. The deceased arrived on the cruise ship about 9:45 yesterday morning and visited Browns Beach, where he was swimming with the turtles. He got into difficulty and was pulled from the water. Ambulance personnel were summoned and found no signs of life, and a medical doctor pronounced death at the scene. Police are asking anyone who can provide information that can assist with investigations to call the Hastings Worthing Police Station at 430-7608, Police Emergency at 211, Crime Stoppers at 1-800-TIPS, that's 1-800-8477, or call the nearest police station. The Grantley Adams International Airport came to a temporary halt for a few hours after a fire appliance had an incident on the runway. This fire tender was doing an exercise when the tire blew out and caused debris to be scattered across the runway, and it had to be closed until they cleaned the area completely. The fire chief says all is now fine.
This morning, one of the tires on one of our crash tenders at the airport station blew out, leaving a lot of debris on the runway, and also causing the vehicle not to be able to move at the time. Test run really is one of the standard operation procedures for airport vehicles to make sure that they are in readiness to respond when they're required to do so, and also at high speeds. Because of the debris on the runway, the airport had to be closed until all of the debris was removed. That took the fire service and the personnel from Guyane approximately 2 hours to rectify it. So we had to clean the whole runway, pick up all of the pieces of rubber from on the runway.
Meanwhile, corporate communications specialist Charlene Brown says there were no injuries as a result of the incident.
The disintegrated tire left significant debris along the runway, and the requisite NOTAM was issued by the air traffic services. Our engineering and fire officials worked to remove the vehicle and clean the area. The runway was then reopened at approximately 8:40 a.m. The flights which experienced delays as a result were the Caribbean Airlines flight to St. Vincent, which was estimated to depart at 7:15 a.m., departed at 8:49 a.m., and the American Airlines flight to Miami, which was scheduled to depart at 7:45 a.m., departed at 8:51 a.m.
Coming up, the price at the pump will be different tomorrow. From midnight tonight, Barbadians will pay more at the pump for gas and diesel. Both fuels will increase by 1 cent, while the price of kerosene will remain unchanged. Gasoline will now cost $3.89 per litre. Diesel will be sold at $3.33 per litre, and kerosene remains at $1.26. The Ministry of Energy and Business has advised that going forward, the consuming public can expect to benefit from the continuation of government's policy, which mandates that retail prices should reflect those on the international market. Young fathers are being offered a safe space to voice their concerns and find solutions to recurring issues. This as the Men's Empowerment Network will be hosting a Fatherhood in Motion workshop this weekend. President and founder of the organization, Fabian Sargent, says a number of pertinent issues are up for discussion, including the importance of co-parenting during separation, parenting the me in my child, and men's rights. He was speaking as a guest on our Morning Barbados.
Parents often think that they don't need help. They often think that, we have it covered until problems hit, and parenting programs are really there to be, as a proactive way of dealing with children. So I want to encourage all fathers, because this particular program is very special. It is called Fathers in Motion, Fatherhood in Motion. And we really want to reach out and encourage fathers between the age of 18 and 25. I mean, if other fathers, so that age group come, we're not going to turn your back, but we really want to reach out to fathers.
Mr. Sargent says fatherhood has not been given the praise it deserves over the years, and he notes there's a high degree of fatherlessness across the country.
We really want to combat that. We really want to get fathers back in the loop. We want to get fathers empowered. We want to get fathers understanding their role, understanding benefits of fatherhood in their child's life. And this particular workshop is for them.
The doctor will be on call tomorrow for entrepreneurs looking to get a checkup. General Manager of the Barbados Youth Business Trust, Cardell Ferguson, says following a survey of entrepreneurs last year, they found there are specific areas where help is being sought by business people. She was also speaking as a guest on Morning Barbados.
When they come in and they have their meeting with the doctor on call, we are going to be writing down all of the notes during the thing. There will be a prescription. This prescription is going to be shared with the participant as well as our administrative staff. So the administrative staff is then going to be informed on what follow-up they would need, how often, and whether there is going to be a need for repeat. So they would then follow up with the person to make sure that what was given to them is actually being adhered to.
Prime Minister Mia Moore-Motley remembers historian Trevor Marshall as a genuine friend who was Bajan to the core. She says he lived the Bajan culture, and when juxtaposed against Pan-African sensibilities, one could not ask for a better personification of who we are as a people. Prime Minister Motley says her association with Mr. Marshall goes back many years, but what she holds dearest covers her youthful political years while she held the portfolio of Minister of Education and Culture, and more particularly when she was responsible for the affairs of the National Cultural Foundation. She adds that Mr. Marshall held strong views on how Barbadians should embrace and promote culture, and while they had strong disagreements, he was always respectful in their discourse and open to being challenged. Prime Minister Motley says it was a pleasure and a privilege to work with him. Prime Minister Motley says she has no doubt that the enthusiasm and conviction he brought to their debates about history and culture will be missed. And she remains equally certain that the thousands of Barbadians who were once his students will see to it that the wealth of knowledge he imparted to them continues to be used for the national good. She says that will be the ultimate tribute to a real Bajan. On behalf of the government and people of Barbados, Prime Minister Motley extends condolences to his wife Margaret and his children Gloria Quinton, Sharifa Barrow, Kwesi Marshall, Ayodele Marshall, and Dr. Hadia Marshall. Meanwhile, retired educator Alwyn Adams has also paid tribute to the late historian. Mr. Adams describes the late historian as a friend and colleague who was a pioneer in the area of local and regional history. He was speaking as a guest on the Q100.7 FM radio program, Let's Talk About It.
He had this, I would say, unflagging enthusiasm for research and analysis and indeed criticism. And he was also a man who took up issues. His pet issue was Nelson, and he was able to have the statue removed. And I think he might be smiling now that I'm mentioning that. When I was in the Senate, I had to often refer to Trevor when I'm doing my research.
The Barbados Association of Non-Governmental Organizations, or BANGO, and the Caribbean Policy Development Center, CPDC, are collaborating to help NGOs find risk insurance. At a recently held two-day workshop, they held a roundtable on innovative approaches to catalyze the delivery of meso-level climate and disaster risk finance and insurance. Secretary General of BANGO, Marcia Brandon, spoke about how they're working on achieving it.
The project is being implemented in 5 countries through 5 civil society partners on the ground in those countries: Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Dominica, Grenada, and Jamaica. As in Barbados, all the other countries have partners on the ground who support the CPDC with the coordination of the project activities.
Meantime, Executive Director of the CPDC, Richard Jones, explains how they got the financing.
In pursuing our vision of putting people at the center of a Caribbean sustainable development, we recognize the need to address the adverse and severe socioeconomic impacts of climate events on the most vulnerable and marginalized in society. In advancing our policy response to this development concern, we were pleased to secure funding from the German Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, BMZ, through a partnership with CARE Germany.
Sports is just ahead with Anne-Marie Berg. Time now to gallop on over to Anne-Marie Burke for the sports. I hear there's Gold Cup news.
Oh yes, Tisha, it's that time of the year again, and the Barbados Gold Cup has arrived on the island. The coveted cup, which goes to the winner of the Sandy Lane Barbados Gold Cup race set for March 1st, arrived just after 3 p.m. today. I was at GAIA for its arrival. At 3:10 p.m., British Airways Flight 255, captained by Julian Marshall, pulled upon the tarmac at the Grantley Adams International Airport with treasured cargo, the 2025 Barbados Gold Cup. And 20 minutes later, nestled in the hands of Captain Marshall and manager of Sandy Lane, James Matthews, they descended the steps to meet Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Sport, Joy Adamson, and President of Barbados Turf Club, Roy Batson. Speaking at a press briefing following the arrival, Captain Marshall said it was a privilege to continue the 40-year tradition of British Airways transporting the cup to the island. Meanwhile, President of the Barbados Turf Club, Roy Batson, says the cup's arrival signals the start of the build-up and anticipation to the island's marquee horse racing event.
With the arrival of this beautiful cup and the honor of winning the Barbados Sandy Lane Gold Cup, the exuberance becomes more intense, and all the human contestants at all levels whose race horses has taken place and entry to run in this exceptional thoroughbred race. But it does not stop there. But it is the excitement that it generates, bringing the many fans and others to the historic Garrison Savannah.
Sandy Barbados is into its 27th year as title sponsors, and General Manager Matthews assured their commitment is unwavering. Sandy for Minister of Sports Charles Griffith, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry Mrs. Adams, lauded all the stakeholders that year after year contribute to the Gold Cup's success and pledges government's continued support of developing the sport.
This event speaks to the excellence of the entire Barbados Turf Club, the owners, the trainers, the grooms, and the jockeys, the broadcasters, the media personnel, the workers in the betting booths, and of course the fans, all make that event special. Now, the government of Barbados is still committing to establishing a regional horse racing academy to provide an opportunity for our young people to gain skills which will enable them to secure jobs in the horse racing sector.
So here's a look at the 2025 Barbados Gold Cup. March 1st is the date that this coveted cup will eventually find a home on the mantelpiece of a successful racehorse owner. Jonathan Drake struck his third first-class century and second in a row as Barbados Pride gained first innings lead over Jamaica Scorpions on day 2 of their Great West Indies 4-day championship clash. Resuming at Kensington Oval on 9 without loss, the Pride were eventually dismissed for 293 in reply to the Scorpions' first innings score of 231. Drake set of 108, including 9 fours, and Lanico Boucher added 55 with 5 boundaries. Spinner Brad Barnes impressed with 6 for 94. Here are some highlights.
Well, this could be it. It's gone up again, and McCaskey has given it away. And no success for Jermaine Blackwood.
Scorpions in the good period of cricket here now.
And he's given, in terms of early wickets, he's given it away.
That's driven through cover. That's going to go out towards the boundary.
Gets it into space. That will be another first-class half-century for Jonathan Drakes. Success has come for the leg spinner. Pulled in commanding fashion.
Another poor delivery and put away.
Well struck on the pad this time, and that finger goes up.
What a beauty, what a beauty.
Oh, that looks good, that looks close, and that is indeed dead. Drakes does it in style. His rich vein of form continues right here at Kensington Oval. Back-to-back hundreds for him. Well, edge found. The first delivery of the new ball brings about the first wicket. The moment that Barnes has waited on. At long last, he's got himself a 5-wicket haul. And now, the end of the innings for Barbados Pride.
And the Scorpions reached 26 for 1 in their second innings, a deficit of 36 runs. Well, that's it for the first look at sports. Tisha, I promise you, from last night, you'll get your school sports when I return.
I look forward to that. Glad to see the Pride doing well. Coming up next on CBC's Newsnight, the Business Report. Barbados has been making notable progress in food reformation. Already, investments in 10 key value chains are underway, covering areas such as wet condiments, snacks, and alternative flours derived from cassava and sweet potatoes. Chief Executive Officer of Export Barbados, Mark Hill, says this forms part of the national effort to align with the school nutrition policy. He says with the help of the International Food Science Center, small and medium-sized businesses could embrace reformulation, not just for compliance, but as a long-term investment in public health.
In the school space, we have just around 40,000 children in that space between primary and secondary. And if a parent's spending around $10 to $15 per day,
on that person, you're talking about close to $100 million per year. So it is a viable market that is very, very attractive to manufacturers. It's an import substitution, massive opportunity. So therefore, manufacturers are not going to abandon that space. What the policy does is that it leads us down the right road to formulate our food processing products a lot more health.
Mr. Hill says local manufacturers have a strong incentive to remain engaged with that demographic and reform some of their offerings. He adds health savings will also be plentiful as parents purchase between $500 to $1,500 annually on health care for their children.
On that other side, again, you're talking about another $100 million in savings. So you're talking about overall value of $200 million to $250 million in overall economic value and impact. So this is not small change. You know, this is big money. So health is money. Health is not just health, you know. And therefore, we see alignments come in with manufacturers, particularly food processors, around this, because it not only lends itself to our own local health, but also it creates a massive export opportunity for us as well.
Now, other larger companies have also been getting on board, and companies such as Pine Hill Dairy, Armstrong Agencies, Happy Treats, Bico Limited, and General Distributors, Inc. have all adjusted their offerings to be in line with the nutrition policy. Officials at the Barbados Agricultural Society say now is the ideal time for those interested in supplying eggs to invest in the sector. The call from Chief Executive Officer of the BAS, James Paul, who says they will work alongside the Ministry of Agriculture and egg producers in a manner which makes it possible for the industry to expand its local capacity.
We really want to push up the total number of eggs being produced so that, for instance, it meets the current demand that is there in the market. And of course, this means trying to encourage new people to come into the market, because one of the things is that traditionally eggs have been one of the commodities produced by small farmers that has helped in terms of maintaining small farmer income. And we want it to continue because we don't want to see a situation where, anyway, that there's any monopolization in the industry when it comes to egg production, and that, for instance, that, you know, we continue to have the involvement of all farmers. So we're going to work to see how we can get those persons who might have, for one reason or another, not fully equipped to sort of put back in those eggs so that, of course, the market will be better served as we go forward.
Here's a look at how stocks traded locally and regionally today.
In Jamaica, Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with 100,066,440 units was the volume leader, followed by JMMB Group, 7.25% VRJMD credit preference shares, and Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited. In Trinidad and Tobago, Massey Holdings Limited was the volume leader with 139,397 shares, changing hands for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $547,090.50, followed by Trinidad and Tobago NGL Limited. And here in Barbados, CIBC Caribbean Bank Limited was the volume leader, trading 10,807 shares at Barbados $2.05 each. They were followed by Cape Shepherd and Company Limited and Emera Deposit Receipt.
Coming up, the weather with Carrie-Ann O'Neill. Time now to uncover what the skies have in store for us tomorrow, and Carrie-Ann O'Neill has all the details.
Well, good evening to you, Tisha, and good evening, everyone. Today in Barbados, a weak shear line impacted the island. As a result, we had some showers. Now it's quite breezy here in Barbados. We do have that high wind advisory in effect, and the seas, they remain above normal. There is a small craft warning and high surf advisory in effect. Now, the maximum temperature today was 29 degrees Celsius, the minimum 23 degrees. At present, the temperature stands at 26 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity 71%. Those winds are coming in from the east. We take a look now at some atmospheric conditions across the region, where the temperatures are ranging from 23 to 26 degrees Celsius. The humidity shows moisture is building over there in Antigua as well as Trinidad, and the winds, they are moderate to breezy across the region. We take a look now at our satellite feed, where the weak shear line maintained occasionally cloudy skies along with some showers here in Barbados. The winds, they are peaking at 29 knots. We do have that high wind advisory in effect. The seas moderate to rough in open water with swells peaking at 3.5 meters. We are urging small craft operators as well as sea bathers to exercise caution. There is that small craft warning and high surf advisory in effect. Now, later on tonight, we are expecting cloudy skies along with some showers and periods of light rain here in Barbados. Further south, convergence maintained cloudy skies along with showers across the Guianas. Over now in the Western Caribbean, light showers prevailed across most of the islands. Well, that's our first look at the weather. After the break, we'll have the forecast. Welcome back. In the forecast for tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 6:21 and will set at 4 minutes past 6. Now, the first high tide is expected at 19 minutes after 5 in the morning and the first low at 10:52 a.m. The seas, moderate to rough in open water with swells peaking at 3.5 meters. We are urging small craft operators as well as sea bathers to exercise caution. Now, the winds, they're coming in from the east and they are strong, peaking at 55 kilometers per hour. For us here in Barbados tonight, it will be cloudy along with showers and also periods of light rain. Over the next 3 days, partly cloudy skies along with some showers can be expected.
Well, it's time to welcome Anne-Marie back.
Back into the fast lane, I will go with school sports. Reed House has completed a hat trick of Interhouse sports wins at the Allen School after capturing another title last evening. Hosting their sports under the lights at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex, Reed total 1,116.5 points. Haynes House were second with 975, third went to Allen 727, and Cumberbatch were fourth with 712.5. CBC's Anmar Goodrich Boyce takes a look at some of the races.
Let's just go straight into the action. Under 17 girls, 200 meters. The girls already coming around the bend, and it's a two-way battle between Lima London and Jakira Jones-Smith. But with a few meters to go, London's eyes were only seeing victory for Allen House, 26.69 the time. Jones-Smith was second for Cumberbatch, 25.34, and Kadisha Worrell third of Reed House, 29.01. The boys followed after, and the race was always on for a second because Azari Edie was shining bright like a diamond, locked the box and threw away the key. He wins in 23.64 for Reed House. Nicole Maynard Joseph was second for Cumberbatch, 25.34, and third went to Joshua St. Hill, also of Reed, 25.91. Under 20 girls now, and this young lady is the biggest name at the Allen School, and you can definitely see why. Anaya Nurse is in a class of her own. This is the winning medicine for Haynes House, 23.97. Shayla Clark of Reed was second, 25.14, and Kaisha Husbands of Allen House third, 26.74. The big boys now to finish off proceedings, who will take the spotlight in front of a massive crowd. It will be Taja Bishop of Allen House to take the top honors in 22.04. Rivaldo Brown and Jaheim Griffith were second and third respectively for Cumberbatch, clocking 22.04 and 22.42. And Mark Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
The Athletics Association of Barbados has appointed Coach Gabriel Burnett to lead the newly formed junior training squad ahead of the 2025 Crifter Games set for April 19th to 21st in Trinidad and Tobago. Burnett is a technical coordinator. Alwyn Babb will be in charge of sprint and hurdles, while Ramon Armstrong and Desiree Critchlow are assigned to throws and jumps respectively. Althea Belgrave is the middle distance coach, while Brian Holder will lead the relay teams. During an exclusive interview with CBC Sports, former Crifter champion and AAB General Secretary Renee Lane says the board has selected the best team to prepare the athletes.
We have put together a number of coaches that we believe are the ones who are specialized in the various areas within the sport. We're really excited to embark on this journey. As the president would have mentioned in a number of his interviews, that we want to start from now, where we get our athletes, our young junior athletes together, start a number of different sessions with them to get them in gear for the upcoming Crifter Games and beyond.
Tonight's Power A Dasani athlete in the spotlight is a familiar name and was unstoppable in the field last year at BSAC. Already a Crifter Games medalist, he has his eyes on more glory in 2025.
It's time for Athlete in the Spotlight, where we take a look at some of the track and field stars expected to dominate at the Power A Dasani BSAC Championships. Double Crown BSAC champions Combomere will be looking towards this young man to help defend their title this year. And there's no doubt that he's up for the challenge. His name is Tion Haynes. And after winning bronze at last year's Crifter Games in the under-20 boys long jump, he will be expected to dominate that event for his school.
We'll look the record. Last year didn't get it, but that's just how the sports go. This year I have the opportunity to come back again. So I would like to get the record in the long jump, 7:32. I would like to get that. Well, I did for the sprints too as well this year. I may have our going, so they got me, so we can see what jumpers could do, you know what I mean?
How has training been for you?
Well, training has been a lot better, to be honest. Now we see a bigger goal, looking at bigger things now, so training is more geared to jumping further distances, running faster, being a better athlete, you know, really getting up to that stage.
Haynes is currently ranked as one of the top jumpers in the Caribbean, with a personal best of 7.51, registered at the AAB's January Classic. At BSAC in 2025, he's going after the record of 7.32 meters and the top spot at Crifter.
I'm looking forward to medaling and really getting gold this season and starting off the season strong with Crifter first, and then the other meets like Panama and that sort of stuff.
Last year you got bronze. Hopes and aspirations for this year at Crifter?
Well, obviously as an athlete and a competitor, you're going to go first every time. So I would like to actually get the gold this time. Last year it was stolen from me, but it's alright, that's competition. But yeah, I would like to bring home gold for my country. We deserve it, so I can try to go for it this year for sure.
So put this name in your notes and keep it close. The athlete in the spotlight is Tion Haynes. That was your athlete in the spotlight, where we took a look at some of the track and field stars expected to dominate at the Power A Dasani BSAC Championships.
And that's it for sports. Back over to you, Tisha.
All right, good stuff. You know where you'll find me tomorrow. College sports, of course.
Enjoy for me and you.
Thank you. We'll return after this break. Stay with us. Thanks for spending your time with us. See you tomorrow, same place, same time. On behalf of the entire crew, have a good rest of your evening.